Hi guys, welcome to another training session. I wanted to go over a couple of things that have come up because of this COVID-19 situation. And I think it's really important that you constantly think about these sorts of situations and what you can add. So if you guys have any feedback for me, please send it on in and I'll share it with the rest of the team. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was your gloves. So even though you're wearing gloves, that doesn't mean that you can touch everything. People tend to have a sense of security once they have their gloves on, thinking that they're then safe. The idea of the gloves is to minimise transfer from one site to another. So with that in mind, the first step when you're taking your gloves to a site is sanitise. So you've all been given a little bottle of sanitiser, and I need you to be quite liberal with your sanitiser. Don't be stingy with it, because the idea is to make sure that you have killed all the germs on your hands. So now that my hands are clean, I can now touch my box with my gloves in it. If I wasn't to sanitise first, then every time I'm touching this box, I'm transferring different germs on there. I'm pulling gloves out then that are contaminated with the last site. So I really need you to think about that one. The next thing to think about is your goggles. Now, your gloves, your mask, your goggles, all of your equipment really needs to be wiped down with the sanitising equipment that you have between each visit. So when your hands are then sanitised, you can put your goggles on, and this is just to stop you from touching your eyes. So the idea with your masks and your goggles is to touch you from transferring any germs into your eyes, your mouth, your nose, anything like that. The next thing I wanted to talk about was washing your hands. So when we talk about washing your hands, I'm sure you've all seen these videos with people who are using some paint to represent the soap, but I wanted to go over it again just in case you haven't. So once you've got your gloves on, you'll be then going onto site. I'm only using the gloves as a means to keep all the paint off my hands. So I want you to imagine I'm washing my hands. This paint is going to represent the soap that I would be using. So when we wash our hands, it's really important that we get every section of our hands. And what tends to happen is people wash their hands really quickly and then they rinse them off under water and they go. And if you can see, there are a really large section of my hands that haven't gotten any of the soap on them. So when you're washing your hands, it's really important that you rub your hands together, you go in between your fingers, up and down those fingers, you cover the backs of each hand, and then look at that, every area has been covered in paint. So now that my gloves are all covered in paint, I would need to take them off. So that brings me to another section of the COVID-19 protocols that I really need you guys to be aware of. When you're taking your gloves off, it's really important that you're not touching yourself with these gloves, because these have been in a home, they've been all around, and they've picked up all sorts of contaminants on them. So when you're removing your gloves, it's really important, and I know for some of you guys this will be a little bit harder because you have much fatter wrists than me, but if you pinch your glove at the wrist and lift it, you will be able to then turn that glove inside out without touching your skin, and that's the really important part here. So each glove needs to be removed and use the other glove, and you can see my gloves are now completely inside out and I haven't touched the outside of the glove at all. And I can carefully remove those and drop them into the bin without getting any of that on me. So those are really important points. One of the next points that I want to go for you guys is non-contact. So how important it is to not be touching things. When we do the inspections and the pest controls in people's houses, it's so important that you maintain that non-contact. So you're not putting your hands on anything unnecessarily. So once you've maintained your 1.8 metre distance from your customer, you're wearing your mask and your goggles, you then can move through their home. Use your P2 masks in houses, but you can then move through their homes without touching everything and keep their homes safe as well. So I hope this helps to refresh everyone's memory of protocols and all the policies that I drew up. But if you need anything else, just give me a buzz.